compañeros, friends, colleagues. Welcome to tonight's event, Human Rights in Latin America Today, in dialogue with Adolfo Pérez Esquivel and Beverly Keane. We're honoured today to be in the presence of Adolfo and Beverly, especially Adolfo, who's dedicated 5 decades of his life to the struggle for human rights, tirelessly campaigning across the world, not just in Latin America, for social justice, human rights, against illegitimate debts, and for a better Latin America and a better world. My name is Daniel Lazaro. I'm a senior lecturer at Middlesex University in London. I'm also academic chair of Jubilee Debt Campaign and a member of the Argentina Solidarity Campaign. And as you can see from the size of the audience, demand for this event has been huge. We're almost sold out, which I think is testament to the reputation that Adolfo has across the world, and to the hard work of all the people that have been organising the event. Speaking of that, the event is obviously being hosted by the Institute of Latin American Studies and the Human Rights Consortium. And the tour itself, because this is the launch event of the tour, which is going on today and tomorrow. And the speaking tour will see him go to Oxford University tomorrow. He'll also be meeting Jeremy Corbyn in Parliament, Julian Assange. And he'll also be speaking at the TUC tomorrow lunchtime for NGOs and social movements. So the tour is also organised in conjunction with collaboration between Peace Jam and Argentina Solidarity Campaign. So just to give you a background before our 2 speakers begin on them, Adolfo Pérez Esquivel is an artist, educator, author and promoter of non-violence. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1980 for his defence of human rights in his native Argentina and across the world. We also found out something quite interesting about him yesterday, which is that he's quite agile. We were in Heathrow Terminal 5 tube station, and he decided, much to the horror of the TfL staff, that he was going to take a long running jump over the barrier, and we had to stop him. Beverly Keane, who's sitting over there on the left, or your right, is the director of Diálogo 2000, Juvenil Argentina, an NGO that campaigns against illegitimate external debts in less powerful countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. And she and Adolfo both campaign on illegitimate debt, on trade, economic justice and improvements in human and labour rights, both in Argentina and across Latin America. So before we start, there's just one other thing we're going to do, which is the tour is being organised, as I said earlier, by Argentina Solidarity Campaign, and a colleague from the campaign, Chantal, will come and present what we do.
Is this on? Can you hear me? Hi everyone. Thank you very much for coming this evening. Well, we're going to get to the good stuff in just a second. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the campaign. So we're a pluralistic and non-partisan collective. We're made up entirely of volunteers. Some of them are from Argentina, some of our friends are Argentina, like me. We stand for human rights, justice and truth in Argentina. And we stand against the extractivist policies of neoliberalism. We hold monthly assemblies, which are open to all. So if anybody's interested, please do come along to our next one. We're organised in a horizontal way. We organise it once a month. We talk about the events that we're going to do, the kind of events that we do. We do some protests outside of Parliament. We did one outside of the embassy recently. We do speaking tours like this one. We also do smaller talks. We're also heavily involved with the Solidarity campaigns, Venezuela Solidarity campaign, as well as with the Una Menos. We're going to do a protest next month with for International Women's Day with the Una Menos, and also with the Mapuche International Link. We're involved as well. We're very active on social media, so please do give us a like if you haven't already. And we send out monthly newsletters just to let people know about the things that we've been doing, the events that we've organised. and also about relevant news in Argentina. And we did everything we could to keep this event free this evening, but I am going to ask you all to make a donation if you can. In the leaflets that we were handing out earlier, we've got our bank details on there. But also we have a crowdfunder on crowdpack.co.uk. If you search the word Argentina, there's only 2 events on there, so you'll be able to find us that way. And yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this evening.
So just to explain a bit about how it's going to work, Adolfo is going to speak first. He's obviously got his translator, Miguel, who's kindly offered to translate into Adolfo's ear. And then Paolo will be translating for us as well. So be patient, because it's a really difficult job, as any of you have ever done translations before know. And then Beverly will speak after him. And we'll get at least half an hour at the end for questions and contributions. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Adolfo.
Buenas noches a todos y todas. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Veo que muchos hablan el castellano. Voy a hablar de pie porque no los veo y no quiero que sufran de tortícolis.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. How are you? I see a lot of you speak Spanish. I'm going to stand up for speaking because I can't see you and I don't want your necks to suffer.
Bueno, en este viaje ya lo señalaron. Venimos de Grecia con Beverly. Beverly es economista, trabajamos juntos hace muchos años, no sé cuántos, pero... Y esperemos que esto, voy a hacer una exposición, poder intercambiar reflexiones, preguntas que ustedes quieran.
Okay, so Beverly and I come from Greece. Beverly is an economist and we've been working together for many years, and we hope with this presentation we'll be able to establish an exchange of opinions.
No hay sociedades aisladas. Hoy tenemos que tener un pensamiento más integrador de lo que pasa en América Latina y en Argentina, es decir, en el mundo también.
So there are no isolated societies, and therefore today we need a more integrated thought of what's happening in Latin America and in Argentina.
Creo que con tantos medios de comunicación, tantas tecnologías, tenemos que tener un pensamiento más holístico, que todo tiene que ver con todo, no hay hechos aislados.
So especially with the media that we have access to today, we need a more holistic thought, because everything is interconnected.
Y por lo tanto les invito a acompañarme en caminar por América Latina, saber qué está pasando, qué pasó y qué está pasando hoy.
Therefore, I invite you to join me on a walk down Latin America to discover what's happening, what has happened in the past and what's happening today.
No hay sociedades estáticas, toda sociedad tiene cambios profundos.
There's no static societies, they all have profound changes.
Y agradezco mucho a las compañeras y compañeros que hicieron posible este encuentro, porque han trabajado mucho para poder estar y reunirnos todos y todas.
I thank the comrades and friends that helped us organize this event so we can all be joined today.
América Latina, después de las dictaduras militares, pasamos a democracias. Qué palabrita terrible, ¿no?
So in Latin America, we went from dictatorships to democracy. What a terrible term.
Y a democracias condicionadas, sometidas, con muchas dificultades para recuperar las instituciones del Estado y la participación de los pueblos.
So democracies that were conditioned, subdued, is that the word? Or submitted with difficulty to recover some of the institutions of democracy.
Y en esta participación de los pueblos hay conflictos. Hay conflicto porque la democracia no se regala, la democracia se construye.
And this participation of the people, there are conflicts because democracy is not a gift, it is a construction, it is constructed.
Y muchos piensan que la democracia es poner el voto en una urna cada 4 años, 6 años y decir que vivimos en democracia. Eso no es cierto.
So some people think democracy is just voting every 4 or 6 years, but that's not really democracy.
Y nosotros relacionamos los derechos humanos y la democracia como valores indivisibles.
We relate human rights and democracy as indivisible rights.
Si se violan los derechos humanos, la democracia se debilitan y dejan de ser democracias. Son gobiernos autoritarios, represivos, que los estamos viviendo en muchos países del continente.
So if you lose human rights, you no longer have a democracy, and this is what we're seeing now in many countries in Latin America.
Y si tenemos que hablar, vamos a comenzar por ese país al lado de la gran potencia que es Estados Unidos, México. Vemos la grave situación del pueblo mexicano.
So let's begin with that country next to the US, which is Mexico, and the very grave situation that they're going through right now.
Con gravísimas violaciones de los derechos humanos, y quiero recordar un hecho entre todo esto, que es Ayotzinapa, los 43 estudiantes secuestrados y desaparecidos hasta el día de hoy.
So there are great violations to human rights in Mexico, and there's one particular event, which is the disappearance of the 43 students of Ayotzinapa, which are still missing.
Y la desesperación del pueblo, de los familiares, para saber qué pasó, pero no se quiere investigar qué pasó con los estudiantes.
And there's a desperation of the people, of the families, but they don't want to investigate, the government doesn't want to investigate what happened to the students.
Claro, está la prensa internacional que impone criterios. Este país es democrático, este país no es democrático, este país es bueno, no sé quiénes son los buenos en este mundo.
So,
Estos son los malos de la película.
the international press imposes certain criteria about which countries are democratic, which are not, and who are the goodies and the baddies in movies.
Pero observen, Honduras es un país donde se dio un golpe que le llamamos golpe blando. No fueron los militares.
But if we look at Honduras, this is a country where we saw a coup that was actually a soft coup. It wasn't the military.
Fueron los legisladores, los jueces que sacaron a Manuel Zelaya, y hay una represión brutal, más de 100 periodistas, algunos muertos, otros presos, Berta Cáceres.
So it was the legislature and the judges that removed Zelaya. There were 100 journalists and also activists like Berta Cáceres killed or tortured.
Una mujer, una luchadora por el medio ambiente, por preservar la floresta, preservar la vida de los pueblos, es víctima de esa represión.
So Berta, who was a fighter for the environment and a defender of life, was a victim of this.
No podemos recorrer país por país, pero algunos ejemplos significativos. Ese golpe en Honduras, después aplican la misma metodología en Paraguay con Fernando Lugo, que le inventan un ejército revolucionario del pueblo paraguayo para sacarlo del medio.
So we can't touch on other countries, but that soft coup then was imitated in Paraguay with the case of Lugo.
Y voy a señalar un país que tiene serias dificultades, pero que ya tuvo muchos intentos de golpe de Estado. Me refiero a Venezuela, con Hugo Chávez.
So a country that has serious problems and several attempts at coups is Venezuela with Hugo Chávez.
Y que le dan un golpe de Estado con el apoyo de los Estados Unidos. Lo sacan del gobierno.
With an attempt coup with support from the US, he's removed from government.
Y es un hombre con una visión, era ese hombre, visión bolivariana, de integración continental, del apoyo entre los pueblos para ver si se podía llegar a la patria grande latinoamericana.
So he was a man with a Bolivarian vision of continental integration, with an attempt to make it to this idea of the patria grande in Latin America.
Y si seguimos este rápido recorrido, llegamos a ese gran país de América que es Brasil. No, el golpe de Estado a Dilma Rousseff y la persecución que actualmente hay, acusándolo de cosas que no hay comprobación. Los jueces dicen que es una convicción que tienen, pero no tienen las pruebas.
So if we continue on this voyage, we make it to Brazil and the coup against Dilma Rousseff and the current persecution against her, for which they don't actually have any proof.
Y en Brasil sacan del poder a Dilma Rousseff. Yo estuve en Brasil, en Brasilia, y fui a ver a la Dilma Rousseff para darle el apoyo.
So I was in Brazil to give Dilma Rousseff my support.
Y hablé un minuto en el Senado de Brasilia. ¿Para qué? Se armó un lío bárbaro.
So I spoke for 1 minute at the Senate in Brasilia, and it turned into chaos.
Porque pensaban que iba a ser un saludo así, buenos días, buenas tardes, saludo a los legisladores y que me iba. No, yo dije, cuidado, le están dando un golpe de Estado a la presidenta Dilma Rousseff. ¿Para qué? Se volvieron locos.
Because they thought I would just go in and say hi and that would be it, but I actually went there to say this is an attempt coup, and everyone went crazy.
Porque querían justificar lo injustificable, derrocar a un gobierno legítimamente constituido.
Because they wanted to justify the unjustifiable, which was to get rid of a government that was completely legitimate.
Y hoy ahí en Brasil están aplicando las políticas neoliberales.
And today in Brazil they are applying neoliberal policies.
No, los altos índices de desempleo, los graves problemas de los movimientos sociales.
There are high unemployment rates and there's a lot of social unrest and social movements.
La fuerte represión social y bueno, lo de Lula que ustedes conocen, que lo están acusando, no le quieren permitir que se presente como candidato porque va a ganar otra vez la presidencia.
So there's a lot of repression against social protests, and also what's happening with Lula that you probably know, they won't allow him to run again for elections because they know he will win.
Y hay un país que sí hizo una revolución increíble, que es Bolivia con Evo Morales.
And there is one country that did an amazing revolution, and that's Bolivia with Evo Morales.
Dignificó a los pueblos originarios, él es un aymara. Dignificó a los pueblos originarios, le dio un lugar. Hace, creo que 2 años estuve en Tipicaya, en Bolivia, con la ministro de Justicia, que es un apoyo, es una indígena.
So he dignified the First Nations people, gave them a place. I was in Tipicaya 2 years ago and met with the Minister of Justice, who is indigenous.
Hoy es un país pluricultural, lingüístico, donde trata de que todos tengan eso. La democracia significa derecho a igualdad para todos y todas, no para algunos.
So today it is a pluricultural country where they attempt to give equality to everyone, because democracy means equal rights for everyone, not just for some.
Hay algunos países que están sufriendo muchísimo y los medios de comunicación lo silencian. Uno es Haití, que fue el primer país que se liberó de las tropas napoleónicas en 1804.
So there are some countries that are suffering loss right now, and the media silence it. And one of these countries is Haiti, which was the first to free itself from the Napoleonic troops in 1804.
Y Naciones Unidas nombra fuerzas militares que ocupan Haití. Ya ocupó muchas veces Estados Unidos Haití. Y es un país pobrísimo. Es un país donde incluso las fuerzas militares llevaron el cólera a Haití.
So the UN names military forces that occupy Haiti, and before this, it was occupied many times for the US. It is a very poor country where the military forces have actually even taken cholera to the country,
provocando muchísimos muertos. Y la pobreza, las situaciones climáticas, los terremotos han hecho estragos con este pueblo que necesita de la solidaridad internacional.
So this provoked, of course, many deaths, and on top of that there's poverty and earthquakes, so this is a country that really needs our solidarity.
Con Beverly hemos estado varias veces en Haití, acompañando a ese pueblo sufriente, pero también resistente.
With Beverly, we were there many times supporting this suffering country, but that is also a resisting country.
Y el caso de Chile, de Argentina, mi tierra, esto que dicen que somos la tierra del fin del mundo. No sé si del fin del mundo o el comienzo del mundo. Depende de dónde nos paremos.
So there's also Chile and Argentina, which is my land, and some people say it's the end of the world, but we can also see it as the starting point of the world, depending on how you look at it.
Yo soy un sobreviviente de la época de terror en la Argentina.
I am a survivor of the time of terror in Argentina.
Pero también en toda esta lectura muy rápida que he hecho, si sigo con esto todos nos ponemos a llorar. No quiero que lloren.
So in this quick lecture or kind of trip that I've done, if I continue down this lane, we would all be crying, and I don't want us to cry.
Porque hay fuerza, hay esperanza en los pueblos, hay resistencia en los pueblos. Hay movimientos sociales que tratan de construir a pesar de la imposición del poder económico y político.
Because there is strength, hope, and resistance in the peoples, there are social movements trying to build things despite of the political and economic impositions on us.
Y esa resistencia pasa por la unidad de los sectores. De Argentina tendríamos que hablar del movimiento de los derechos humanos, del movimiento sindical.
And that resistance comes through the unity of the different sectors in Argentina, for instance, human rights and the unions movement.
Tendríamos que hablar de los movimientos estudiantiles, que son fuertes, muy politizados.
There's also the student movements, which are very strong and very politicized.
Porque no nos resignamos a vivir dominados. Queremos ser hombres y mujeres libres. Por eso luchamos.
Because we don't resign ourselves to being dominated. We want to be free men and women, and that's why we fight.
Tenemos muchísimas dificultades, ¿no? De gobiernos entreguistas que han privatizado todo. El gobierno actual es un gobierno neoliberal que llega a elecciones legítimas, no de un golpe de Estado.
So So we have many difficulties. We have governments that have privatized everything, and right now we have a neoliberal government that is actually legitimate. They got to power not through a coup, but through elections.
Pero está aplicando una política represiva muy grande a los movimientos sociales. Hoy en día acabo de tener información desde Buenos Aires de la represión a los movimientos sociales, a la oposición social, cultural y política.
But they are applying a very repressive politic to social movements in Argentina. And today, in fact, I got some information from Argentina on repression tactics on social and cultural movements.
Ahora, si se violan los derechos humanos, las democracias se debilitan. Si no hay fortaleza en las instituciones democráticas.
So if you lose human rights, the democracy is debilitated, if there's no strength in these kind of democratic institutions.
Cuando hay un fuerte sometimiento al poder judicial, donde los jueces en Argentina han hecho todo lo posible y lo imposible para sacar a la Procuradora General de la Nación, Alejandra Gil Carbó.
How do you say procuradora? So there is a strong submission to the prosecutor. Thank you. A strong submission to the judicial system, where judges have tried really hard to get rid of the prosecutor Gil Carbó.
Tuvimos sí momentos con políticas sociales. El kirchnerismo avanzó en algunos aspectos y en otros no. Pero había políticas sociales.
So we had, So we had some movements, for instance, under Kirchnerism. There were some advancements, some social issues, but some not so much.
Pero la mayoría de los países estamos en un laberinto sin salida.
But most countries are in a maze without a clear exit.
Pero ¿cómo salimos de ese laberinto? ¿Qué es lo que pasa? ¿Es posible salir de ese laberinto? De imposibilidad, de persecuciones, de políticas como la deuda externa, que es una deuda eterna.
So how do we get out of this maze? Is it possible to get out of a maze made up of these policies such as external debt, which seem like endless policies?
Y siempre recuerdo a un escritor argentino, Leopoldo Marshall.
So I always remember this Argentinian writer, Leopoldo Marshall,
que decía, del laberinto se sale por arriba.
He said, if you want to exit the maze, you have to climb it, or exit it on top.
Y tenemos que encontrar la salida por arriba, porque si nos metemos en ese laberinto, terminamos asfixiados.
And we have to find that exit through the top, because if we get into the maze, we're going to end up suffocated.
Y yo creo que sí, con la fuerza de los pueblos, si hay unidad, podemos salir de esos laberintos, podemos construir.
So I believe with the strength and unity of the people, we can actually get out of those labyrinths and build.
Eso que decimos en el Foro Social Mundial, otro mundo es posible, otra posibilidad para nuestros pueblos es posible.
This thing we say at the World Social Forum is another option is possible, another option for our people.
Hoy estamos con serias dificultades económicas, el alto índice de desempleo, hambre, cierre de fuentes de trabajo, achique del Estado.
So today we face many difficulties, economic ones such as unemployment, poverty, and hunger, and the reduction of the state.
Y tenemos que ver cuáles son las posibilidades superadoras de tener proyectos sociales, culturales y políticos de mediano y largo plazo.
So we have to see what the possibilities are to have social, cultural, and political projects, both mid and long term.
Y siempre que planteamos los derechos humanos, los planteamos como derechos de los pueblos, no solo de la persona, de los pueblos. Los pueblos tienen derecho a su existencia, a su identidad, a sus valores, a su pertenencia.
So when we talk about human rights, we're not just talking about individual, but also about the peoples, as in different people and their culture and their right of belonging.
¿Cómo podemos tener una democracia cuando hay terratenientes como Benetton, esa gran empresa en Italia que las mujeres saben lo que es Benetton, ¿no? La moda, los colores de Benetton. Pero Benetton en Argentina tiene 1 millón de hectáreas que se la quitan a los pueblos originarios, fundamentalmente a los mapuches.
So how can we have democracy when we have these big landowners such as Benetton, the Italian businessman from the colors of Benetton? Benetton has 1 million hectares in Argentina, and this is land that has been taken from the Mapuche people.
Tenemos también el caso de Lewis, de Turner, grandes empresarios que van apoderándose de las tierras y expulsando a los pueblos. ¿De qué democracia hablamos?
We have other cases as well, such as Lewis, big businessmen that take over the land and they expose other people. So what kind of democracy are we talking about?
El otro eje, estoy haciendo un recorrido muy rápido, después ustedes en la pregunta, si quieren profundizar en algunas cosas, tratamos de compartirla.
So there's another thing, but just to say, I'm doing this quite quickly. If there's anything in particular you'd like to expand on, we can do that during the questions.
Es la megaminería, las grandes empresas que se llevan todo y no dejan nada. Mejor dicho, sí dejan pobreza, contaminación, hambre, falta de recursos como el agua.
So the other thing is open pit mining, and this is usually done by big companies that take everything, but actually what they leave behind is poverty, pollution, and hunger, and also they consume vital resources such as water.
Tratamos de acompañar a los pueblos originarios, a los movimientos populares, tratar de que se puedan organizar. Los pueblos tienen que ser protagonistas y constructores de su propia vida y de su propia historia. No vamos a liberar a los pueblos tenemos que liberarnos solos.
So we try to accompany First Nation peoples, popular movements, but the people, as in particular peoples, need to be the protagonist of their own struggle, and we need to liberate ourselves.
Y estamos en esta lucha en todo el continente.
And we are in this struggle across the continent.
Los derechos humanos es un eje, no es calmar el dolor de los sufrientes.
Human rights is an axis. It's not calming the suffering of those who are suffering.
La política de los derechos humanos debe ser transformadora, social, política y cultural, de generar conciencia crítica y valores en los pueblos.
The politics of human rights need to be transformative, of generating change at social, cultural, political levels, and creating critical consciousness.
Y tenemos que ver las dirigencias políticas, qué es lo que está pasando. Hoy hay una fractura muy grande de las dirigencias políticas.
And we need to see what's happening with political leadership, because nowadays there's a very big fracture in political leadership.
No me voy a extender demasiado con esto porque tiene que exponer Beverly. Y después abrir el debate. Pero a pesar de estas dificultades que estamos viviendo, hay una capacidad de resistencia de los movimientos sociales. Y voy a señalar algunos significativos en todo el continente latinoamericano.
So he said he won't expand much on this, so Beverly can speak. But despite these difficulties, there is capacity of resistance in Latin American movements, and he's going to highlight some examples.
Si es posible alternativas al sistema económico, si es posible una economía solidaria,
So he asked if it's possible to have alternatives to the economic system, whether it's possible to have a solidary economy.
Y hay experiencias muy fuertes en el continente, el movimiento de los sin tierra de Brasil, con los sistemas cooperativos, con la construcción de espacios culturales, de escuelas.
So there are examples such as the movement of landless workers in Brazil, cooperative systems, and solidary schools as well.
Nosotros en Argentina, después de la crisis del 2001, muchas fábricas cerraron. Los obreros tomaron las fábricas y las transformaron en cooperativas y en una economía solidaria.
So in Argentina, for instance, after the 2001 crisis, a lot of factories shut down and were recuperated by workers who turned them into cooperatives as part of this solidarity economy.
Hay alternativas, hay asambleas populares, trabajos para cortar con este sistema capitalista que nos asfixia.
There are other examples such as popular assemblies and work that cuts with this capitalist system that suffocates us.
Y por último quiero hacer referencia a algo que nos toca a todos y todas, tanto aquí en Gran Bretaña como en Argentina y en América Latina, que son las Islas Malvinas.
So finally, I want to make reference to something that concerns us all, both here in the UK and in Latin America, which is the Islas Malvinas.
Ustedes saben que esa guerra del año 82 fue provocada por una dictadura militar. No fue el pueblo.
You know, this war from 1982 was started by a military dictatorship. It wasn't started by the will of the people.
El año pasado, en el mes de marzo, pasamos una semana en las Islas Malvinas.
Last year in March, we spent 1 week at the Malvinas Islands.
Y tratamos de ver si era posible un acercamiento con los isleños. No fue posible.
We tried to see if it was possible to have some sort of connection or meeting with the islanders, but it wasn't possible.
Tratamos de abrir espacios de diálogo para tratar de entendernos. No queremos que las Islas Malvinas sean, los habitantes de las islas sean los enemigos de la Argentina. Esto fue una guerra provocada por una dictadura militar.
We try to open up space of dialogue. We don't want the inhabitants of the islands to be our enemies, because this was a war started by a dictatorship.
Lo que más se avanzó últimamente fue en la identificación de los soldados argentinos caídos en la guerra, que en sus tumbas tienen todavía una lápida que dice «Solo conocido por Dios».
The thing that has moved forward lately was the identification of fallen Argentine soldiers who until now have one plaque on the grave that said "Only known by God."
La Cruz Roja Internacional y el acuerdo del gobierno británico con el gobierno argentino, hasta ahora se pudo identificar la identidad de esos soldados muertos en la guerra, de 88 de los 123 soldados donde están sus tumbas.
So the International Red Cross, in an agreement with both countries, the UK and Argentina, has been able to identify 88 out of the 123 soldiers.
Y necesitamos de la reflexión, necesitamos del diálogo, necesitamos entendernos.
We need reflection, we need dialogue, and we need to understand each other.
No es un capítulo cerrado.
It's not a closed chapter.
Es un capítulo que tenemos que tener la capacidad de poder sentarnos, dialogar y de construir.
We need the capacity to sit down, to dialogue, and to build it together.
Gran Bretaña tiene muchas colonias, entre ellas las Islas Malvinas.
The UK has many colonies, amongst them the Islas Malvinas.
Y tenemos que ver cómo discutir esto. ¿Cuál es la pertenencia, la identidad, los valores de saber convivir y saber respetarnos unos a otros, sin perder lo que son la identidad y los valores de los pueblos.
And we need to be able to figure out how to dialogue about this, how to be able to coexist without losing the identity and the values of the people.
Así que tratemos en esto de reflexionar qué significan hoy el derecho de los pueblos a su soberanía, a su autodeterminación, los pueblos que puedan vivir con dignidad.
So let's try to reflect on what it means today, this thing of the rights of the people. Is it to sovereignty, to self-determination, to be able to live in dignity?
Cuando encontramos tantos mecanismos de sometimiento, muchos pueblos se están poniendo de pie.
When we find so many mechanisms of submission, a lot of people are starting to rise up.
Y esto únicamente lo cambiamos si los pueblos son protagonistas y constructores de su propia vida y de su propia historia.
This can only happen if the people are the protagonists and the leaders in their own stories.
Bueno, hasta aquí, y después veremos de compartir las inquietudes de ustedes. Para nosotros va a ser enriquecedora.
So I leave it here, and later we can share some opinions, which will be very valuable and rich for us.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Adolfo. Just a very quick reflection before Beverly begins, which is that just been thinking about something Adolfo said about creating critical consciousness. And I imagine there's a lot of people here in the audience who are academics, students, or lecturers. And what is our role today in this kind of world of fake news, when there are all these resistances around the world against neoliberalism, against the destruction of the planet and so on. And I won't go on too long, but I just think we need to think about what our role is. We obviously have a privileged role in society in terms of our access to intellectual tools. And there are many intellectuals that have always called for a link between academia and activism. Bordeaux, Gramsci, Borroway. And I think activism doesn't necessarily have to be protesting and doing all these kind of collective actions, but of course that's useful too. But if we can try to help create this critical consciousness, to raise awareness about the social movements in Latin America or wherever they're fighting back, by using our privileged positions as academics to get into the media, social media, reporting if you like, I just think we should maybe kind of think about that. If we can do it more than we're already doing it, I think it would really go a long way. Anyway, I'll hand over now to Beverly Keane.
That's working? Okay. It is best to stand up, and I'm going to try not to speak in English, but to speak in American. It's the best I can do. Some of you may have been here just a few months ago when we were here, I think, in the same auditorium with our mother, Nora Cortiñas. So it's a real pleasure to be back and to share again with our friends and colleagues at the Argentine Solidarity Campaign and other groups here in Great Britain with whom we've worked for a long time. As both Adolfo and Dan were saying, we've worked together for a long time, really since the mid-'80s. I arrived in Argentina from the States, where I was actually born, just at the end of the military dictatorship. Somewhere along the road, these journeys that you never quite map out, I married an Argentine. So at the end of the dictatorship, he decided to go back, and I finally decided to go with him. So we're still there, trying to understand the country and trying to do what we can to participate in this process of building another world. And I think what I want to do, and really just take a few minutes this evening so that, as Adolfo was suggesting, we can devote most of the time to a dialogue, to hear what are the kinds of things that are on your mind and the kinds of questions or reflections that you want to make, and see how we can advance that together. So what I really want to focus on very quickly as well are just some of the areas in which we are trying to make a difference today in Argentina, and in which we think there's probably a lot of room for us to join more closely together with what you are doing here in Great Britain, in England, or the United Kingdom, however you want to call it. And these are issues that we work on, particularly in Argentina, in Latin America, I would say from a south-north perspective. Things like the debt, things like international trade, militarization, climate change, any of these issues, or the power of multinational corporations. We come at them, certainly in Argentina and most of Latin America, from a perspective of south-north relations, meaning that we think that historically, certainly carried out today, there is a tremendous difference in the perspective of those peoples and those countries who have felt and have been, in a sense, on the downside of history, and the perspective or the popular understanding or belief of problems that perhaps is most prevalent in countries in the north that have been more on the upside of history over at least the past few hundred years, the rise of so-called Western civilization. But today, Adolfo was suggesting, as we look at the kinds of issues that face us and that make a big difference in people's lives in Argentina and in Latin America, we certainly also recognize that these are some of the same issues and the same problems that affect people's lives everywhere around the world. We all live almost everywhere in the globe today as part of an international monetary economic system. We all know it as capitalism. So that most of what it affects us, in a sense, affects others as well. Certainly there are some that benefit. I think it's Oxfam here from London that is now making an annual report, for instance, that talks about and tells us and puts numbers, very real numbers, to the kind of inequality that exists in our world today. The fact that not just 1% of the population controls most of the resources and the wealth that is produced, but we're talking about a handful of people, and I guess it should be no accident that they are a handful of men. So that a handful, and we're talking here about 6, 7, 8 individuals control more wealth than the vast majority of countries in our world today. And this is something that we don't often reflect enough about. And it's something that is really a very dramatic change over the past 30 to 40 years in our world. And that is also just to remind us always that this is not something that has always been. And that means it's something that can be changed and certainly will be changed. Because as Adolfo was saying, peoples around the world, not just in Argentina, not just in Latin America, are not really just willing to sit by and see their lives be trodden down. People are looking and working everywhere to make a change. And the changes that we're looking for and that we're working for probably will not be brought about by the action of governments. This is something else that we at least reflect a lot on in Argentina and Latin America today. And say that that's maybe also another big change in sort of the general perspective over the past few generations, past few decades. Meaning to say that if we look at the kinds of problems that we face, and certainly if we're talking about macroeconomic kinds of issues, debt and finance, trade, even the effects of climate change or militarization today, I think people are more and more concerned that even if governments had the will to make the kinds of changes that people are demanding, perhaps they really don't any longer have the capacity to confront the structures of power that exist in our world today. And a lot of that goes back to this 6 or 7 men who control a predominant part of the wealth in society. If we look on a bigger scale, we say 1% of the population that controls more than 50% of the wealth that is created. That means that wealth is extraordinary, has an extraordinary degree of concentration. And that concentration means power. And that's the kind of power that changes lives everywhere around the globe on a daily basis. So when we think today about how to move forward the processes of transformation, we also, I think in Latin America today, and most of the social movements that Adolfo was referring to, and I'm sure this is probably the case here, but you can confirm that in our dialogue, are saying we need to find and to build new strategies and new ways of exerting people's power. Because doing the same things we did 30, 40, even 20, or maybe even 10 years ago is probably not going to get us where we want to go. So one of the challenges there is to think about and to work on how we can strengthen the ties and the alliances between the kinds of mobilization, the kinds of organizing that is happening in Argentina and Latin America today, and what's going on here where you are. How we can build those ties and how we can strengthen the process of reflecting together on the changes that we want to see in our world and the ways in which we're going about doing that. And I want to just refer to a couple of recent episodes, something that you may have seen about. In Argentina, we are, sometimes we say, privileged. Last year, December, just a few months ago, really, Argentina was the host of the WTO, the World Trade Organization, biannual general meeting. Some of you may follow the WTO from a long time. I was actually born in the city of Seattle, so I'm happy to say that that's one of the cities where a few years back, 1999, popular mobilization actually was able to call attention to the kinds of damage that the World Trade Organization was seeking to inflict on countries around the world and throw some real hoops in the road of the delegates who were trying to get to the meeting and make those decisions. When the WTO came to Buenos Aires in December, the government tried very hard to present this as a triumph of Argentine democracy, and as the government is fond of doing, of our road back to the world. The fact that we have reconnected to the world is something that the present government of Argentina talks a lot about and is very proud. And so this having big international gatherings like the WTO last December and the G20 next year, for the government were very important lapel pins. I mean, they were very important things to show that the government was being accepted, that Argentina was now a part of the world, and that somehow we could move together into the future. Well, one of the things the government did as the meeting was getting ready was to deny access, not just to the meeting, but to the country, of representatives of about 60 international non-governmental organizations, some of them here from Britain. Some of you may know Global Justice Now, Director Nick Durden. They're actually doing some trade meetings tonight, which is unfortunate. But, the government said, well, these are people who we don't want in the country. And why? They said, well, because they'd been following their social media accounts, and these were all people who were liable to raise hell, is basically what the government said. And so we're not going to let them in. Well, this was a tremendous blow, really, thankfully, to the government's image. You know, why was the government disallowing the entry into the country of very troublesome groups like, you know, Global Justice Now, Friends of the Earth, journalists who report on electronic data transfer and international property rights and things like that? You know, what's going on? And we said for us, it was an excellent opportunity for the world indeed to look at what was going on in Argentina. And as Adolfo was pointing out, to begin to really understand that what's happening in Argentina today is not a return to the world, but it's a return to the worst practices of the dictatorship. And yet these are the kinds of practices that indeed we say accompany the worldly agenda that the neoliberal policies are carried out. And as we were traveling to Greece, happened to pick up right here in Heathrow, a copy of the Financial Times. Maybe you saw this. I suppose you all read the Financial Times every day, don't you? You know?
Yes, know the enemy.
Yeah, know the enemy or clip those coupons. Anyway, the title, that we're just going to focus on this, is The Global Trading System Works When We All Play the Rules. Well, this is what Macri said in Argentina. He says you have to play the rules, and the rules say if I don't want you in, you can't come in. If I don't like the way you look, tough. That's what they said to Santiago Maldonado. We don't like the way you look. We don't like the friends you have. We don't like what you're doing. That's what the government said to Rafael Nahuel, a Mapuche, young Mapuche activist. Yeah. In defense of his land and his territory against people like Benetton and Joe Louis. And he was shot in the back for doing that. So we are saying this, and Macri thinks a lot of Theresa May, and this article that she wrote in the Financial Times I think is worth reading, because it talks a lot about the rules that Theresa May would like us all to follow, and those are the rules that Mauricio Macri would also like us to follow. And it's interesting, she refers a lot to rights. We need a rights-based trading system. Adolfo talks a lot about rights and the relationship between rights and democracy. When he talks about, we're talking about human rights, we're talking about people's rights, rights to self-determination, rights to control over our resources, rights to basic education, to health care, to not suffer torture or assassination. Well, in this particular article, and I suppose elsewhere as well, Theresa May talks about rights, but she talks about the rights of the market. She talks about the rights of intellectual property. She talks about the rights of capital. And it's odd, isn't it, that there is no reference to human rights. There is no reference to any interest in making the rules of the system work for people. So maybe that's what we have in common. No? We have a big challenge in front of us, but we think that there's a lot that we can do. And in this particular year, as we're preparing for the G20 meeting in Argentina, we think that might be common ground in which together we can really analyze what this new club, the G20, what are the kinds of rules they're seeking to create for our world? Are they rules for people, or are they rules for capital? Are they rules for a trading system that is set up to hurt the small guy? Or are they rules that might help the people who most need that help to have access to a global market? We in Argentina are going to be working a lot this year in preparation for the G20 meeting. trying to use it also as an excuse to further discussion in Argentina and around Latin America about the kinds of changes that we want to bring about in the global trading system, in the global finances. What are the links between finance and trade, militarization and climate change? What do they have to do with the Malvinas Islands and the other struggles that today are so important in Latin America? So all we want to do, and on this note I will end, is to again invite you, as Adolfo did, to join us, to join efforts this year. We think that whether it's on debt, whether it's on trade, whether it's on climate change, whether it's on militarization, whether it's looking at the solidarity economy that's growing around the world, because as we say at home, it's a real survival tool. Survival for people like in Argentina, the 6,000 people who lost their jobs this last month, or the people who now stop looking for work because for generations there has been no formal job in their family. These are also, so we understand, challenges here. So I think we can do a lot together if we come together, reflect, find ways of joining initiatives to put pressure on governments, even if we don't think it's that pressure or those governments that are going to make the change. That's how we can strengthen our own movements here in Great Britain, in Argentina, and around the world. So we simply want to invite you to join us and to continue this dialogue, not just now, but through the coming months and years. Thank you.